Shameless self-promotion, man. Come on. All right,
yes, basically.
Come on, just get the shirt off.
Yeah, I mean, I got the baby oil.
And welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, how-tos, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week, we've come up with a lot. Hey, everyone, how's it going? Am I going to go with doing? No, how's it going? Let's go with that.
I'm going pretty hard.
Here in beautiful downtown Athens, Georgia, switching the bits, doing the nightmare fuel, all under Linux, each and every week, joined by our tame Canadian podcaster, who's he's doing good. He's old and decrepit, like the rest of us.
I'm a little sticky, a little gooey.
That's Jordan's thing. And Pedro Mateus staying up late. Hello.
Late, yes.
English words.
For the past 7 years, staying up late has been, well, my Saturday night, Sunday morning ritual, I guess.
It's really cute because he pretends like he wouldn't do it anyway. And together with you at home, Shot Realm Dynamic, join us. That one got me. It's been a while since you've made me like start to reach for a monitor, Jordan. You got me fair and square on that one.
Victory. Victory is mine.
Cocaine Voltron. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, before we get started, we do like to see what's going on in each other's life organs. I brought this up. Hey, consider this a free PSA, just in case you installed kernel 5.3.11. And you're like, hey, man, I'm going to get my Bluetooth red controller up and work. You're not. Don't. You plug in the USBs. That does not fly, which I learned earlier this week. And Jordan was like, I will test. Oh, okay, I guess I'll just plug it in. Come on,
I mean, that's why I have the cable handy, right? Like,
right. You know, I had the cable here.
There's a cable somewhere on this desk.
That was the thing, man. Womp womp. Outside of that, there is a video. If you want to go take a look at it, I'm like backtracking. I rolled over and I was like, how did I get started doing this? What were some tools that I wish I had in my arsenal for making podcasts on Linux? You know, basically the S I know now. So there's a very rough cut of like how to levelate all the audio when everybody's in different places. It's just the main part, the thing with the body paint and the inflated clown. I'm going to add that in later. So, but if you want to leave some comments, ideas, you get the first crack at that.
The dark paint?
Go check that out. Patreon.com/LinuxGameCast. What have you been up to, sweetheart?
Who's sweetheart?
That's you, Jordan.
I'm not, since when has my heart been sweet? I mean, just because it's encrusted with like fat and sugar doesn't mean that it's sweet. It probably tastes more. Actually, probably tastes sweet. No, nothing's been going on in my life. Still recovering from injuries. Trying to take it easy, not completely fuck up my back.
Yeah.
And yeah, enjoying a bit of the game that we wwere throwing chairs at.
Yeah. Go back and listen to the pre super shows if you want like the real review of it, where we just talked about it for an hour.
Yeah.
Pedro, what's new with you?
Well, it's not new, but, well, no one was using it at work, and after I basically got it ready. I saw the corner of it Wednesday, so I went right into the show, because, like, I don't know how I feel about plugging Microsoft products. Yeah, that's the thing. It's,
cover that up.
It's a Surface. It's
cover that up with an Apple sticker.
It's a 2017 Surface. It's a 1796. Yeah, the person I got it ready for at work used it for like 2 days. It's like, this is slow. It's like, yes, I told you it was going to be slow. Oh, but I didn't think it'd be this slow. It's like, okay, all right.
Then you stole it.
Now, yeah, that person has a laptop, and it's like, no. This is still very much on the books, so I get to play around with it until someone says, oh, I want that Surface. Like, all right, I have that Surface.
It always makes me smile a little bit, because like 80% of the stuff you show from work, asset control number on the back, I'm like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
INHS.
Unlike our horse,
like I said,
refuses
it's still there
to be labeled.
I mean, that's more because nothing actually sticks to the horse like most adhesives that we've tried to build. It's the Steam Linux Update of the Week.
And, of course, there's a new beta.
Do it.
Since they merged all of the stuffs into the stable client, the beta now has some more new things. They've added a filter option to split family shared games in the list between who actually owns what games, which was a thing in the previous library, but apparently they forgot about that when they introduced a new one. They fixed non-Steam game shortcuts not displaying an icon if you created them on Windows from an exe. Not a problem on Linux. Fixed status play bar, showing downloading while unpacking a preloaded game. I wouldn't have necessarily said that that needed a fix, but
it's nice to have, right? Because like it still says downloading, but really it's just extracting. If they just if they differentiate that, I feel a little better because it's like, no, my internet is way too fast for this. Why is this still downloading?
Dude, how many times have you cracked open HTOP and like, what's going on?
You see the CPU spike, you're like, oh, that's what it's doing.
Even you see it's done, but it's still processing, and it gives you no clue. But to throw them like that split shared games, that the internet was really angry about. I guess people who use that was a very important feature.
Yeah, that was a thing in the previous simple library. So I guess people were used to it. It's like, no, I want it back.
The weird one for me with this update though was like fixed possible client crash when there are more pending GIFs than installed games. That's a weird edge case, man. I don't buy your thinking, Pedro. I don't.
That's because you don't stream on the right service.
But yeah, that's not that much of an edge case when, say, you have your account VAC banned, and then all of a sudden you need a new account, so you give that other account a bunch of games. But why not
just buy the games from that other account? Like,
because you already have the keys for those games.
But those aren't gifts. Then you can just redeem the keys. That's how Humble works.
You have them in your inventory. Well, I don't think you can anymore, but yeah.
No, they took that out. It's keys now. Anywho.
This is probably somehow related to laundering money, all right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It is Steam, after all.
Yeah.
Well, you know, speaking of betas, it's out, it's available, it's in your face. You can now play with your friends on a non-Steam beta client.
They didn't contact us. We had a great stream, Pedro and I. Of it not working.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked for me and Sandy when we tried Megabyte Punch, and if it's good enough for Canada, it's good enough for you. So, yeah, it's available now if you have games that have couch co-op. There's now an option where you can just right-click join. It'll bring up like the Steam streaming window. Steam input will work sometimes depending on the game. And yeah, it doesn't work that great with split screen because you still have to contend with split screen, but it's a good enough solution for games that don't have online multiplayer that 100% should have online multiplayer.
Yeah, and it's not only did they say no, this works now because apparently it works now. Jordan actually managed to play some Megabyte Punch with Sandy, but they also decided, you know what, let's have a bit of a sale to go with it, and yeah, basically all the games.
They're just looking for an excuse. I mean,
yeah, it's
when is there not a sale on Steam? They're like,
we need something in between like fall and Christmas. Yeah.
Well, like the one thing I really wanted to see, well, I want to play. Maybe we'll try that tonight. We'll see if we can get Death Road to Canucka stand up and running.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll be fun. Throw it on hard.
I think that only does 2 players though.
What's your point? I didn't invite you.
All right. I know when I'm not wanted.
Wow.
It's when people tell me I'm not wanted.
Sam has been rewritten.
Yes.
It's not that Sam.
It was rewritten to work with the Linuxes, and this is the Steam Achievement Manager. If you're a filthy Windows user and you like to basically lie to everyone and say that you've unlocked all of these achievements when you haven't, well, you had the Steam Achievement Manager.
In C++. That's just like you see. Dastardly language.
And this Paul Combal decided to make a Linux version of it, and now with release 2019-11, achievement unlocking and relocking is reliable. All owned apps now show up, not just the downloaded ones. They actually respect XDG base directory specifications, which is very nice to see. They improved the GUI. They did some little bits of trickery that you can actually launch a game through its app ID and it'll hide the window and the game will be running so that when you unlock the achievements for that game, you might not get VAC ban right then and there, which was kind of what led me to go on a Google search. It's like, does the Steam Achievement Manager get you VAC banned? And some people say yes. Yes, it will. So I'm inclined to believe them because, yeah, I don't think Valve would be okay with, people just cheating the system.
So here's another thing. It is sort of like an unintended consequence because, like Pedro said, this is clearly aimed at people who want to lengthen their EP because they don't have anything else going on in their life. But if you're a completionist, if you're someone who likes to go in and 100% plat games, if you want to have an easy way to track your progress on Steam, you can remove all your achievements and start cleanly, which is something that some people will actually do. Whether or not they get VAC banned for it, I don't know. Frankly, I don't care, but it's another use that isn't completely nefarious.
Yeah, nefarious or not, it does if you're absolutely, I think, like us, Pedro's a little more like, hey, I got achievements. He's not hooked on them, but you give negative fucks about it. Like, yeah, whatever. It's not worth the danger.
No, it isn't. Even if you care about the achievements, it's like, okay, those achievements, you unlock them because you actually did the thing.
I went outside.
Who are you lying to exactly at that point?
Play Cookie Clicker with Proton like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Or set your clock 5 years ahead for Stanley Parable.
I'm legit. I think I might have that now.
I gotta double check. I do.
It hasn't been 5 years.
Has it not? It feels like
no, because I think it came by year 2 we were still complaining that Stanley Parable had not come to Linux.
Fair enough. Hey,
one day
we got some new games this week. Wait,
we
game
do,
update.
and
game updates.
Game updates. The first one is CS:GO, and it's a co-op campaign. For those of you out there who very much like Condition Zero and deleted scenes, well, now you have
Colonel
Operation
Sanders
Shattered Web.
has got a gun?
Yes.
Colonel's got a gun.
I mean, there was that dating sim with the Colonel, so now he's got a gun. But yeah, it's co-op missions. You can have yourself and friend on Steam join, play the mission. They're like the typical deleted scenes, Counter-Strike Condition Zero style of missions. If you played, was it Soldier of Fortune back in the day, you'll find some of those missions very familiar. But it is, it's co-op missions, and there's something else to play in Counter-Strike Go, and I guess Valve is very much committed to making that game the jack of all trades when it comes to
monetizable
shooters
again?
that they own. Yes,
because they can't reap gambling profits. Yeah, so to me, this basically smacked of they're giving Counter-Strike their own iconic player characters, mascots, whatever. After 22 years, people need to associate Counter-Strike with fucking Colonel Sanders. They gotta say, "Hey, Colonel, where are you going with that gun in your hand?"
Listen, man, all those beautiful cartoony characters worked for Fork Knife, so it can work for CS:GO.
And they worked for Team Fortress 2 before Fork Knife came out. So yeah.
I don't know, but
I remember that was called Time Splitters. Anyways,
so this is going to be legit. If it's cope, I mean, I'm willing to try it. We tried CS:GO for a minute, and I mean, all of us are just absolute rubbish at it, but it was still entertaining.
We never tried that second Battle Royale mode map because they did release a second one.
Yeah,
we never gave that a shot.
I'm not against the idea. Not against the idea, but okay,
we should fight.
Fantasy Strike crossplay. It's a thing. Full crossplay. It's coming to Fantasy Strike. What is it? The game? It's actually the good fighting game we have available natively on Linux, and we threw some chairs at it if you want to go back and watch that. Everybody enjoyed it. All three of us were absolute shite at fighting games, but it was a little more digestible versus Skullgirls, which requires you to be a decade and a half younger than the three of us in order to be remotely
fighting games without all the bullshit. It's just basically use fighting game strategy. You don't have to worry about combos and buttons and timing and
100%. But next month, Fantasy Strike is going to have full crossplay amongst all the platforms. We're talking Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Steam, Mac, Windows, and they made it a point to throw the Linux in there, which is awesome because that means more availability to get insta-killed on different platforms. But you might be thinking, hey man, didn't it have crossplay Yeah, like a lot of games with Steam, just with PS4. But
Yeah,
everybody else is...
that was for because like Sony was being a doofus. But apparently they've changed their tune now, or Fantasy Strike has been out long enough that they're like, okay, we'll get rid of this sort of exclusivity. So now
they're no longer the dominant player in the console market. Nintendo rode in on the Switch and said, "Fuck you."
Indeed. So now they've opened it up to the Switch, and like it's to me it's very stupid because there's no technical reason why cross-play wouldn't work. It's just Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, they want to ship units, and one way they do that is with FOMO, right? Like, oh, if you don't buy our platform, then you don't get to play with the rest of your fucking friends.
But hey, man, it's
Bloodborne.
Hey, you know what? Epic's like, we can do that with a game store.
And nothing else, not even a shopping cart or a
Smack that
multiplayer
glue
service.
stick out of his mouth and like, go give some more games away. Here's a game that is being given away. If you currently have that new toaster that you get face fucked with?
The Index.
The Index.
Yeah, so what's 1 + 2? Not 3. It's Half-Life Alyx.
Purple.
We got a trailer for it. We got a little bit of an announcement earlier in the week. This was one of 2 VR games that Valve is apparently developing, because we know because they said as much. At the beginning of the week, I said signs point to this being a midquel between Half-Life 1 and 2, and then the trailer dropped, and I was proven incorrect. But the thing, and this is where a lot of the conversation is going to, is that this is a title designed for VR. They're not saying you have to use the Index or like the Oculus. It'll support everything because it's all done through Steam VR. They've worked very, very hard on that cross-hardware VR API. But I don't really see this selling well unless they have a really compelling non-VR option. And to me, it seems like, yeah, like this fucking scene right here. It's not loaded. No, it's not loaded.
No, it's not
like
loaded.
It looks like it's going to be like a highly polished VR experience. It's going to really, I believe in Valve. I think they're going to use the medium to the best of its ability.
I genuinely believe 100% with that. I feel this is probably going to be, if not the one of the best VR games ever made. And
but unless there's a unless there's a compelling non-VR version, or they start like dropping prices substantially on VR headsets, I don't see this doing too well.
Sticky cash is meant. That's a lot, you know. All right, first off, now that we have Half-Life Alyx, I look forward to Team Fortress Alyx, Left 4 Dead Alyx, and possibly Portal Alyx.
Because what about Dota Alyx?
Ooh, Dota Alyx could be interesting.
Or
Counter-Strike Alyx.
Yeah.
Or Alyx Fact. It's going to be a card game.
Now, to the brass tacks, I mean, this makes as much financial sense as if they'd made Half-Life 3 like Linux exclusive. It just doesn't. But fortunately, you know, Valve's a privately owned company, so they can tell everyone to eat a bag. This is how we're going to roll. We're going to show what can be done with the technology. You got to respect that just a little bit.
Yeah, they're pulling a Nintendo. They straight up are.
Here's the thing, man. I was genuinely, I think, on behalf of the internet, I was like, wait, this doesn't continue this before Half-Life, you dicks.
It's Half-Life the pre-sequel.
Half-Life 1.5.
Yeah, I know.
Like I guess it's more like 1.9 because we had like Opposing Force and Blue Shift.
But currently, as listed, it's Windows only, Jordan, so we'll never get to play it.
Oh, well, as it turns out, Valve's been putting a lot of effort into making Proton work very, very well with VR. So I'm thinking this may be their market case to be like, well, you don't have to worry about all this platform support because Proton will do it for you. It's hooked into Steam VR. It's hooked into Steam Input. All this shit works out of the box. So write your Windows game, use Vulkan, and you will just be able to play it. And this is like full tinfoil hat optimism, but it would make sense, right? This would be their big first party game. They've developed it using their own homegrown technology. Odds are it's going to work perfectly fine via Proton. If not, then we'll probably get a Linux release later because it's Valve. It's the source engine. They have to click export. They're going to do this all in Vulkan anyways. I do not doubt in my mind that they would. They're just going to be like, you know, we've been pushing Vulkan for a while. Let's just use DirectX 12.
DX12's the future, bro. Pedro, is this going to be the game? This is going to be the title. This is going to be the thing that brings VR to the masses.
It may very well turn out to be, as you said earlier, the best, at least by all measures, that we humans are capable of understanding. It may very well be the best VR game out there, and it will probably be the most successful. but it'll still be a VR game, and VR still implies, you know, a very expensive bit of equipment. It implies having 2 functional hands, which, you know, some of us do not. And yeah, no, no, I don't see it.
I'm curious though, because you bring that up, but Valve has published the specs for all like the index stuff. So I'm curious what sort of accessibility options could get cooked up, especially now that people have access to 3D printers. Right?
We can make it work. Pedro's got a foot, and I got some tape.
Yeah. And of course the big thing at the end of the trailer is coming March 2020. Yeah.
Oh yeah, at the end of the trailer you also see the Borealis, which was where you were supposed to go in Half-Life 2 episode 3.
Dude.
Fuck you, Valve.
I genuinely like saw that, and like, you know what? Like most of the edit, I'm gonna enjoy watching other people play through that story. But
yep.
I had a bit of a think on this when I was trapped in the booth today. Everyone's bringing up the price of VR. Fair enough, but I don't think that's the major roadblock. Not entirely, because I was just thinking, like, just the 3 of us and you at home. I mean, you think about the computer, the stuff you got around you. You got more than 700 US tied up in your system. I mean, it's high, and I think it might be definitely high for one thing, but in 2019, dropping 700 on a high-end graphics card is not going to get you a high-end graphics card.
No, it'll get you close to the high end, but not high end.
No,
get you a nice
you
one.
need to drop another 300 on top of that.
Or, you know, some crazy YOLO gaming mode. The biggest, I don't think it's the price. I mean, that's something that'd be like, okay, next year I'm going to buy myself that for Boxing Day. Okay, maybe you're going to do that. I think the big holdback is, I've always said this is going to be about as many people that have like full racing setups, which funnily, you know, oddly enough, it's going to run you about $700, you know, for the pedals. The
we'll get to that in the news segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's VR. It currently is still going to boil down. Yes, price is a factor, but it's also wearing on your head, man. And the big killer is having the room to use it.
I can speak to that. I absolutely can, because my friend has a Vive. I've used it. It's fun. It's fine. Games work under Linux via Proton perfectly fine. I almost punched a hole in his TV because I was swinging around. 100%. If you are confined in a very small space, you're gonna have a bad time. This is gonna be like the first couple months of the Wii over and over again, with people like launching Wiimotes through their TVs and walls and shit.
That's really what I'm thinking about when I both of you came to mind. Like, Jordan, I remember when you first got your apartment. I'm like, that's a hallway. No, it's not a hallway. But then again, you live in the city, in Toronto. I mean, you have a reasonably sized place. It's just not conducive to like having a VR setup. Yeah. Pedro, where would you put a VR? I mean, you would have to like dual purpose the living room, right?
I mean, it's already mine and Nori's offices. So yeah, we have zero fucking room. That's for a polite way of saying Nori won't let him get one.
No, this is what I want to see. Is I want to see we're gonna take the Patreon money. We're gonna buy an index for Pedro. We're gonna have him set him up, and we're gonna have Nori use the computer at the same time that he's playing VR games. He's just gonna whack her on the side of the head with an index controller.
Okay,
it's hilarious.
I'm mostly behind this.
I would be so dead.
I know. That's why we're gonna have a camera on you.
But yeah, Tux. That's the thing, man. This is why it's best played sitting down. Then you're on wheels and push your ass into a wall.
VR optimized wheelchairs. No, you know, let's go. Let's move on to the next thing before this gets any darker.
All right.
Steam Marines 2. Once upon a time, it was SNES graphics
1.
XCOM. Now it's early Xbox XCOM with permanent Iron Man mode enabled. Yeah, this looks like some KOTOR-ass graphics. But you know what? Solid gameplay. It's out. It's in early access now. You can get it for $30. That steep early access price. Made for 1804 or 1404 LTS. So it'll work on pretty much any recent Linux distribution. And yeah, it's basically just XCOM in space.
Okay, we need 700 megahertz graphics and 1 gig, not Intel HD, 1 gig of that DirectX compatible sound card, and a screen resolution capable of 1366 by 768.
Ah, laptop.
No,
resolution.
766. 2 pixels.
Oh,
it's important.
Oh. Yeah, this is kind of high priced, but they do have the DLC. But the DLC is only the soundtrack. So is this nostalgia? Hope give us some of that.
No, more if you played through XCOM, played through War of the Chosen, and you want more like more. That, then you go to this.
And one thing I noticed is that they have on the side of the Steam store where they say title, Steam Marines 2, developer, Worthless Bums, publisher, Worthless Bums, franchise, Steam Marines. Oh, that's a thing. You can apparently have franchises on Steam now. So I click on it and there's only this one game. So it's oh, you guys never bothered to go back and actually add the first Steam Marines to the Steam Marines franchise.
Listen, man. If I ever really... Brick Simulator is only going to come out as part 3. It's going to be a remaster, though. A remastered third version.
And it's going to take place immediately after a cliffhanger from Brick Simulator 2. So you have no idea what the hell is going on.
It's a prequel.
Yeah. It's a midpool.
It's the DLC. All right.
But if you want some XCOM goodness, check it out.
All hail our cuddly overlord who wears those Aussie shades, Cthulhu's, Catharsis. That's the thing, man. Where you play as the cute little critter, you crush other eldritch horrors, dare to rival your powers, you gift your creatures with mutations and hugs and all that, outwit other gods and these strange... all right. Is the only thing I noticed, the only reason I brought this up, it's because it's got online multiplayer, man. I mean, it's got PvP, so I thought, hey, Jordan, this could be interesting, maybe?
Possibly. You don't really like Civ, though, so I don't see you having too much fun with it. Actually, to me, it kind of feels a little more like Risk, given the map. But here you can
they straight up call out Risk as saying this is basically Risk with some Hearthstone unit type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, be Lovecraftian Elder Horror, they said. Destroy the world, they said. It'll be fun, they said, right? Yeah. But yeah, you're basically just playing Risk with Lovecraftian horrors. You can modify the map, which is a cool little twist. And yeah, it's $15 currently, so it's not horribly expensive.
It is designed for the Ubuntu's 1804.2 LTS.
Yeah, when I read the bit about Risk, it's it's Risk at the Mountains of Madness. All right.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's really esque.
Jordan, I'm going to give you that one because it was real clever, but it doesn't work.
It
absolutely does. Praise Azathoth. Coming up next, we got brand new AMD drivers for you, and a faster way to get yourself VAC banned, but it'll make your games look very, very pretty.
Bananated.
It is the news coming up, but before we get to that, and don't worry, the news will start off with some drivers as is tradition, but before... Well, there's that little thing that involves us basically trying to promote ourselves as something that is worth your time.
Shameless self-promotion, man. Come on. All right.
Yes, basically.
Come on, just get the shirt off.
Yeah, I mean, I got the baby oil ready to go. That's going to replace the whale in my nightmares. If you want the whale in your nightmares to go away, you should head on over to LinuxGameCast.com. Mouse your cursor over that support tab where we have links to our Patreon, our LibrePay, our merchandise, our PayPal's, our wish lists, and our Bitcoin. Patreon's the best way to go about supporting us because you get cool stuff like show note access and access to the Discord channel and an extra hour, a full hour of us just talking shit about NieR Automata or Star Wars or whatever the hell. Whatever's got our goat that week.
Spoiler cast, and that's available in podcast form, or you can join us live.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff. Yep. You can get your name in the credits. We'll read it out, and you can be like, "Yay, that's me!" Or if we're playing some games and we open it up to the general Discord public, you can get in there and play some games with us. It's gonna be fun. We got to thank Ruben, who's a brand new Patreon. Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben. Don't have any recurring cash to spend on us. Well, you know what? We got wish lists.
Yep.
I got one. Pedro's got one. Ben's got one. If you want to help us out by donating some hardware, you absolutely can. You end up on Frank's Fuckwall, where there's still one spot left. One spot left before Fuckwall 2.0.
It's a legendary spot, man. This spot is like pristine. It's brilliant.
He who claims that spot will be the rightful king of England. Pedro will do whatever you say. It's true. It's the law. It's part of his contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also got a store by some LGC
I should know. I paid the hobo good money to write the laws. He promised me it was all about board and legit. Yeah. Hey, man.
Listen, you don't want to go violating
he said
hobo
if I
contracts.
questioned him again, he was going to cut me. So I just rolled with it.
Yeah, just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Hope you like rabies transmitted from other humans. Yeah, but we got LGC shirts. They're great. You should buy some, put them on your body, wear them in public. People will be very, very confused, and that's good. That's the intended outcome.
All right. If you're not doing anything with that Amazon thing with the Twitch, how's that work?
Oh yeah, the Twitch Prime thing. If you're paying $100 a year because you want to watch The Expanse or Carnival Row or whatever the fuck is on Amazon Prime, it's the video that you want to watch. Yeah,
Stargate SG-1 reruns.
Yeah, well, it turns out you get a free sub for Twitch channel, so you can give it to us. It doesn't cost you anything. That money is earmarked by Amazon for Twitch anyways. Give us a follow.
Pretty sweet.
And get some VOD access.
You get no ads because I have that thing set. So
yeah.
Because I don't like watching ads, and that's why I sub to people on Twitch.
What kind of ads do we get? Are we still getting like Christian dating sites?
No.
No, it's Twitch ads. They're mostly Amazon approved ads.
I was gonna say Ninja, but he's on Mixer.
Thanks, Toxoramus. Here's the thing though. With the ads, it's either like some stupid game thing or just Bud Light.
Bud Light, give us money, Budweiser, and we'll talk.
Oh yeah,
we'll pretend that we actually like your beer.
Delicious Bud Light nights.
Water.
Drivers.
All right, drivers. Mesa 19.2.5 is out, available for your general consumption if you feel like compiling Mesa on your own. Nothing new in terms of features, but we got some, I don't know what HSW is, Tropico 6, and Super TextCart have their shadows fixed. So there's no longer going to be flickering. If you're on power, then you can run GLX gears again if you have an AMD card installed. And if you do, on the AMD train, if you're struggling to start Civ 6, you can now.
Yeah. And it's a very boring release because if you actually look at like all the changes that were made, it's like, okay, most of these are just like consistency updates, which is not a bad thing at all. But I think at this point, everyone's kind of chomping at the bits for 19.3 because that's when you get the ACO and the proper AMD Navi bits. So it's like, can we have that?
You can always run master. You can always just do git checkout master.
You just build the git.
I like to live dangerously.
Here's one of the things I'm thinking about, man. Because I know a lot of people, this is a question that I do get. Like, when am I going to be able to buy like a 5000 series AMD card, plug the damn thing in, and it work without me having to do any moon magic?
January 2020.
Well, that depends on your distro, because it's when Mesa releases that, and then it's when the distro ingests that and actually ships that with their installer. So for Ubuntu, for Fedora, for Arch, it's all going to be different. So the answer is Spoon.
Yay.
Yes.
Allow me to tell you a tale of a bad divorce and a lost safety deposit box key and revenge from Montezuma. Revenge.
I had a bit of Montezuma's revenge last night.
Hey, man, we're talking about a game made in 1998 by Utopia Technologies, and people have been trying to figure out a while how to get the game released. And, well, Rich, he said a few years ago he was trying to get the source code released, but there's no real update. Until dude dropped out on Twitter, like Quack Guyver reached out to Geldrich, and he got an update. Turns out the update is kind of interesting. Turns out that he had most of it backed up. Two of the other developers with us that he was working with didn't give him the complete source code, but he had enough to where he could work on it. And this is back in like 2004. He did some CDRs. He backed them up. He doesn't really know if they're readable, but turns out he put them in a safety deposit box. Gloucester City and the Ben Franklin Bridge immediately took the yeah, it's across the Delaware in Philly. That's where it's sitting, but he's lost the key to the safety deposit box. So if you ever think about it, womp womp, maybe one day he will just, okay, this is where he lost me, man.
All right.
I've lost a safety deposit key, and that genuinely involved showing up at the bank giving them some passports and some IDs, and they're like, here's another key. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, thanks. And they're like, and that'll be $20. I'm like, damn it.
You know, I liked Montezuma's Return. I liked it a lot. It was a platformer collectathon type of thing. And yeah, of the 3 people involved in this particular story, I think Geldrich is his only fault is that of laziness, because he doesn't want to go to the bank and get a new key for the safety deposit box. And apparently one of the people got into
He
some
won't go
actual
get the key,
trouble.
but here's some drone footage of the source
Yeah,
code.
from
Okay.
Gloucester City. Yeah. And yeah, one of the people apparently got in trouble with their spouse, and then they went into hiding. So shit got real at one point. The other one joined an ashram somewhere, and now lives a very yoga-ish lifestyle.
This is some Blues Brothers shit,
what-
man.
Yeah, what the fuck kind of situation led all these 3 people to get together and make a game at one point?
I don't know, man. I hope the
Drugs.
Yep, drugs do it. I mean,
Yeah.
you could finich that with the Aristocrats. Like, okay, fine. Is Borat starring in this? Probably.
My wife.
I hope it gets sorted. I mean, this is not going to cause me to ever lose sleep. But I'm just like, well, don't tell the world that if it's just you not wanting to do it.
Yeah, it's just I don't
I
feel
mean,
like it. No.
I can give the guy credit because I too don't want to go to a bank and interface with like a human teller. That's
Fair.
not a thing. Yeah.
Okay, well, do you want to interface with a wheel?
What
Well,
kind of wheel?
If you do, there is
round
a way. Well, there is someone who's actively trying to improve that. If you happen to not have Logitech G920, because if you have that,
I love the fact that it's experimental. Like, it's going to fuck you up on accident if you're not careful.
it is a kernel module, so it may very
You're-
well.
Oh,
do
no,
that.
I'm
computer
talking like
will
you're
sprout
missing a
wheels
hand
and,
and,
like-
dislocated shoulder. You're like, damn it.
No. No, you like your computer straight up Optimus Primes into like a car and drives off like through your wall.
The best kind of kernel module.
Wait,
then.
you hear
but
like the, you open the door and it's Tesla truck. Like, oh no.
Knock knock.
I hear you have a steering wheel, bitch. But yeah, no, this one is new LG 4FF, which is LG steering wheel force feedback improvements for the non G920 series wheels. Basically, if you have a G920 or the G29 and basically any of the ones that Farrell tested with Dirt Rally and said these are good, yeah, those already work as they should anyway. All the other ones, if you have them, if they have force feedback, chances are you probably weren't getting all of the force feedback issues. This particular kernel module is being developed specifically to introduce those missing bits of functionality. Now, it is experimental, and the developer says, like, yeah, test as much as possible, and if you do have one of these wheels, just give it a try. Let them know how it goes. If you have any issues, let them know. Because, yeah, it would be really nice to have this in the kernel, and if you can get this up and running, it might just happen.
I'm searching on Google right now for like images of like trashed living rooms so I can send them a picture and just say, oh, you said I was the chosen one. It's like I had to put my wheel down.
Yeah.
It's around it now.
One thing that this guy might do if someone feels like opening up a pull request, add a DKMS config file so that you can just drop this in and not have to worry about rebuilding it every single time.
Not
You
everyone
can write your own DKMS file.
Yeah, you
Like I
could.
said, make a pull request and then submit it. So
Go for it.
because that's how open source works.
Yeah.
There's still a couple force feedback functions that aren't implemented here, but I mean, if you're one of those people with a driving wheel and you're in the smaller minority of that who is using a driving wheel under Linux, congratulations.
With a VR headset.
Not yet. Next
yet.
year.
All
Next
right.
year.
Man, I can't
When
wait
Half-Life
to play
Alyx comes
Alyx with my steering wheel. It'll be awesome.
Oh man, I'm sure there's going to be a speedrun category for that. 100%. 100%.
All right. What if you want it to look super sharp?
Well, you might get your ass back banned.
Yeah, you will most likely get VAC banned if you try to do this with a multiplayer game, but hey, this is vkBasalt, or Basalt, or however you want to say it. We talked about this about a month ago when they released version 0.10, and now they have version 0.20 out, and they have some new features, like enhanced subpixel, subpixel morphological anti-aliasing.
Screenshots.
Yeah, I don't have screenshots for this one, but
no, I'm just saying that's a feature they should add for the 0.21 release is screenshots. just throwing that out there.
It would actually be very nice, because with the first one it's like, okay, so what does this actually do? So I fired up Fallout 4 and I got a couple of screenshots, and yes, it does make a significant difference. Now this time around they actually they do. If you actually look at the full screenshots, they're UHD screenshots. So
I looked at them. I couldn't tell the difference.
Nope. You see, you only looked at
your
the half
eyes need work.
Maybe.
I looked at them upside down.
I got to invert the colors. Look at them in Australia mode.
It's stenography, man.
You really don't. It's actually glaringly obvious the difference. It does make a significant difference.
Yeah, it does.
Now
it makes like the original image look like it's anti-laced properly.
Yes. And now, which was one of the things that was missing with version 0.1, and they have basically improved the anti-aliasing version with this one, and you can actually set the intensity of subpixel anti-aliasing, which will most likely have a bit of a performance improvement if you're looking into doing that, because just the sharpening filter, that one doesn't really seem to have any kind of performance impact, at least not for my testing, but I don't know. Maybe someone else is giving it a try with another game.
I mean, like, if like you raised a really good question in the notes, Vin, about like the performance impact, and my first thought to that was it really depends on how the game engine in question handles anti-aliasing, because maybe something like this is more performant, just because it was implemented poorly originally. But I don't know. Still, big ol' use at your own risk sticker slapped to this boy. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Don't use this with the multiplayer game. Stick with single player. Otherwise, you will be banned. Don't go messing around with post-processing layers and modifying VRAM.
Yeah,
you will get detected by anti-cheat.
Injecting stuff in the middle of graphical calls will get you banned.
Flax is no longer for seeds.
It's a miracle. Yeah, I was gonna make a Flax bagels joke, but whatever. It makes them taste weird. Flax is available for Linux. What is it? I've never heard of it. It's a game engine. It uses Vulkan.
It has ball technology.
It has techbology, even. It uses Clang 7.
Oh god, that was so bad.
I know. Do you like that? Does that hurt? Good.
Yes,
yeah. One thing that really stuck out to me about this is that it's cool. It's open source. It's available on GitHub. You can check it out. But much like Unity, these guys decide they need to fucking reinvent the wheel and not use SDL2 because they use X11 for Windows system and mouse keyboard input. So use at your own risk. That's all I'm gonna say. SDL2 has solved all of these problems and more. And if you are making a game engine and feel that you do not need to include the SDL2, I question your sanity as a developer and also your ability to function on rat poison. But yeah, more open source engines are nice. It's available. It's supposed to the sales pitch here is it's by game developers for game developers, as opposed to all those other engines who are written by non-game developers or accounting programmers and I don't know.
Hey man, Unity has absolutely allowed artists to make games, which is not always a bad thing. Not 100% of the time.
No, yeah, for the most part, actually bringing the ability to make a video game to the masses is not a bad thing, at least not in theory. And then you see the actual practical effects of actually doing that, and you get the Unity ghetto. So
you know, but sometimes you see like people will try and they'll work, but I think a lot of the Unity ghettos, people just don't give a damn.
Right.
There's people trying to make a quick buck. Yes.
And to the point about artists making games, right? Like sometimes you have an idea and you need something to get like a bare bones prototype out so you can hand it to another programmer who'll be like, I see what you're trying to do here.
And
let me help you.
Yes.
To make sure we piss off both sides equally, programmer are just as bad.
Oh, yeah.
There. Are we covered?
Still baffles me how Minecraft got as popular as it did, but here we are.
Children's cough syrup.
Yeah.
Coming
going
up
back
next,
to
no, we've been
Flax. No,
really.
Okay.
Jeez. Okay, you got more on it?
Yeah, just a little bit. They do say, like, the beta will be coming soon. It's still not available for download, but they do say that, like, getting Linux ready was a very important step because they do very much want to have, like, PS4 and Switch compatibility. And if you go back on the episodes, a couple of episodes ago when we were ripping on a developer about using this article that said that porting for Mac was difficult and people were dropping it as an excuse to not bring or not continue to develop their game on Linux.
That's how I bullshit my way out of situations. Come on, I blame Mac.
Yeah. As it turns out, that article specifically said, yes, if you create a Linux port right from the get-go, it'll make porting your game, or in this case your engine, to the PS4 and the Switch that much easier. So, yeah.
I'm just saying, man, don't feel like mopping your floors. Blame a Mac. All right. Version 126 of not Matrix, because I even corrected the spelling. It's Matrix.
Enter the Matrix.
Yeah, I've typed in.
Matrix.
Yeah. Enter the Matrix. What is it? Man, it's, well, something that now has native support for OBS Studio. You know, you can do the commands with the Matrix buttons. You do need the OBS WebSockets. I've posted a video how to get that up and running. There's going to be a video that'll show up early. But it, like an El Gato, the cat, row, Stream Deck, but you'll be able to use your mobile device. I mean, this thing does a deck editor, you know what I'm saying? It's really cool. If it's a whole lot cooler if I enable that. So
video.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to get to graphics, you silly monkey shit. I couldn't get it to work. And I tried really hard because I want to be able to do like a custom setup on a tablet for like macros and stuff like that, scene transitions, which according to this, it's very capable of doing. But
if you can establish that TCP connection,
I would throw myself under the bus. I'm like, we did something wrong with the router again. But you know, my current WebSocket setup that I have with a tablet right now, working through a web browser, it works. So I know they can see each other, and it only works on that one port. So I don't know. Go get the show notes, try it out at home, and see if you can make it work. I mean, it does keyboard emulation, keyboard macros, photo. I mean, the versatility of this particular software was like laid out what I saw someone with like 2 or 3 mobile phones and a couple of tablets as their farming simulator deck. I mean, you can do like custom controls for like CSGO and all type of stuff. And I was like, I want to play around with this, and I'll give you, I think it's free, but I think there's a version you could buy. I'll do it. It's still cheaper than an Elgato Stream Deck. You know, just grab one of your old tablets.
Yeah. I saw the screenshots that they had for like how you could actually have everything. So I was like, I wouldn't mind that.
No,
I wouldn't mind that at all.
It is definitely a pretty neat piece of kit.
Neither of you will ever use it.
No, and that's the thing. It's not for me. I saw it in the show notes. I'm like, this is something 100% targeted at the Venn market segment. This, because like no, you had to set up like a little crappy like web page, right? Like a single page thing to submit stuff over WebSockets, or
It's easy. I can show anybody to do it. See, this is our little control thing, and I mean it works because you know here's the thing. I can like blow a hole in the router and give you the IP address, and you could switch the show from Canada.
You don't want to do that.
All the fucks know.
You're gonna have an entire episode stuck on Pedro. That's it. That's what happens when you give me switching powers.
My ego's okay with that.
But there are some limitations doing this. You know, all I can really do is switch scenes and like activate and close sources. This would give me theoretically control of Lua scripting.
Power of Lua.
Danger zone. All right. Speaking of danger zone.
Lua's easy enough to screw something up with. Yeah.
Yeah. Coming up next, Automata. Do.
Tomatoes.
Automata. Do 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 do.
Coming in.
Automata. Do 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 do. Welcome back to the CHAIRQASITION, where we throw chairs at games and tell you what we think about them. We run them on a bunch of different operating systems as well. We got KDE Neon, we got Debian, we got Fedora. We're going to see if this game even works on all three of them via Proton. This is NieR Automata. It's developed by Square Enix and Platinum Games, done on a custom engine, done through DXVK and Line, Proton, all that good stuff. It's about... Is it £29 now? Is it not like $300 or something? I don't know. The price on this guy keeps fluctuating. What is it? NieR Automata tells the story of androids 2B, 9S, and A2 and their battle to reclaim the machine-driven dystopia overrun by powerful dildos. We gotta mandatorily disclose that it's thanks to you that we're able to throw chairs at this game. You, the lovely Patreons who support us and allow us to purchase games. It's a lot of game. So let's begin. Ben, how'd it work?
Just a round for Jordan each and every week. He surprises me with his new and exciting intro.
Right.
It's brilliant.
Keep you on your toes.
How does it work over here on our AMD 1920X? 32 gigajoules of RAM with a 2060. Pretty good. We had to throw the chairs at this because this is like a sanctioned game from Valve. And I'm like, yo, this is on the Steam whitelist. So everything worked out of the box. This is the latest version of Proton. I am running the NVIDIA beta drivers for the Vulkan. Let's see. Okay, the only like serious grips I got about it is I couldn't get it to run on anything other than the non-primary, well, only the primary monitor, even though you can clearly see at some point there would be options to, I don't know, put it on like something that's not 43 inches. However, the game still ran. Performance-wise, on the 2060, 1080 YOLO maxed out. It pretty much slams 59.96 minus the random chunky parts, but hey man, that's Japan tax. You're going to get that on Windows. Graphics, a little bit of pop-in, but no serious glitches.
Okay.
Used to have some serious glitches back in the day with like spazzy, flashy lights, but that's for the most part been worked out. Control-wise, it works out of the box with the X-Clone and PS4. So outside of the little monitor gripe, and give it a clean bill of health, and that's good to see.
Yeah. On Fedora 3064-bit with the i7-6700K GTX 1080 Ti. It was running fine. I was running some older NVIDIA drivers. Once you hit the second level through that giant cloud of white, apparently there's too much white for the NVIDIA drivers to handle, and the game would just crash, which is great because I had to go. I didn't save on like on the satellite, and so I had to go through that entire dialogue again.
Pixelated mayonnaise, baby.
It was great. But on 440-36, everything runs fine. At 1080p, I should add. For performance, I made the mistake of playing through most of the tutorial at UHD on high, which ran at about 24 frames a second, which was completely fucking miserable. Barely playable once I was able to actually knock the resolution down to 1080p. It holds about 59. It's pretty good with that. Graphical wise, it's very pretty. It's very, very good looking. I'll get to that more in the fun section. Yeah, and controls, yeah, worked out of the box with the DualShock 4. Happy with it. 4 chairs.
Yeah, and over here, in Ryzen land with the 3700X and the GTX 1080 on KDE Neon, it launches, and it also launches on the on El Cheapo with the Intel i5-3470 with the RX 570 AMD GPU. Yeah, at max settings with blur off because the blur just looks bad. At 1440p here on the Ryzen box, it likes to every now and then dip to about 45 FERPs, but it usually stays around 60. On El Cheapo at 1080p, it goes anywhere from 22 to 60. Usually, if you lower the graphics down to medium, still with blur off on El Cheapo, the FERPs, they come up to about on par as a Ryzen box, so that's not terrible. The graphics, yes, the grass and the higher res textures, they like to pop in quite a lot. But yeah, that doesn't really affect gameplay. It's just a bit jarring and very much noticeable. The controls, yeah, the DualShock 4 worked out of the box, and it does let you customize the layout, which is not often the case with some games, especially AAA ones, but this one does, so that's very nice to see. And I did run into an issue between this box and El Cheapo, where because the game likes to sync the controller configuration to the cloud, the something about the communication between the two is like, well, the DualShock profile cannot be applied to the Steam controller, so we're just going to revert to the defaults on both these machines. It's like, oh, I get that most people want to run into this issue, so I'm not going to dig in a chair for that. 4 chairs.
All right, well, there you go. We got Corpse Zombie Android Queen. She's here telling us that the game will work on your distribution. Yeah. All right, what about fun-wise, Ven? You played a lot of this game. How'd you enjoy it?
Hey, that's the wrong shot, everyone. How's it going? It's not often I play a game that, you know, makes me question what qualifies as intelligence or AI or just, like, what it means to be human. More to the point, you know what? I've never been hit like with a video game that just legitimately got a like OMG WTF BBQ moment like this game did, and it just drops it on you from orbit right in your face meets. You don't expect it. Since at first, you know, everything with the game's kind of real thick over your head. You're just like, yeah, I get it. Robots, they think they're androids, and the androids, they want to be people. I get it, game. I get it. I know what's going on. Then, on the third playthrough, stick around, I'll get to that, with all the accumulated backstory, you know, a thing that it happens, it goes down, that genuinely made me tap. I've talked about this like a year ago. Tapped that pause button, fam, just to take that moment in. Because it was a deep-fried, fucked-up thing that, for lack of a better explanation, really, like, showed the dangers of becoming human. It's like, well played. Or at least, you know, the attempt to emulate the human. That's kind of how they roll with that. Game-wise, combat, you know, it's kind of solid. A little repetitive. If you watch any playthrough, there's a circle strafe, man. It gets shit done in this game. And the world is really a lot smaller than you think it is, but I mean, square miles, that's something to think about. That's it. There's still plenty to explore and smash the living shit out of. Now, if you like doing the upgrades by collecting the chips, finding the secrets, this game will consume you. R.I.P. Pedro. I look at it like this. Nori, I either owe you an apology or you owe me a thank you. I don't do that, so whatevs. You know, that's not my thing. I'm just going to vend my way through it. Because it does what I like, man. You know, it's a brawler. If you can really call it that. Can you call it a brawler? I don't know, man. I mean...
I call it like a beat 'em up. Yeah, sure.
Because, like, one of the things that...
Spectacle fighter.
Maybe fighter. Because if you rush, like, head into anything, you're going to come back in, like, a little robo body bag real quick. So, you do have to have some lead strats. Regardless, you do get to smash shite, and you get to look good while doing it. Enjoy that solid story that they somehow... and I do mean somehow, managed to deliver over 3 playthroughs, and it doesn't come off as gimmicky. I really thought this is going to be a pain in the ass, no reward. No, it stacks. It's legit. Now, it took me like a solid 30 plus hours to vend my way through it, man. Just go watch my live stream of that from last. I just plowed through it because I like to get to the end of the game. Give me the story, the side stuff, I can live without it. I really enjoyed it. Performance, still a little hit or miss. You know, I'm running the 2060. I'm running a Threadripper, not exactly the best gaming system in the world. And it still has some bugs. Unfortunately, like 2+ years later, this is nothing against Proton or running the game on Linux. This is all about to the developers. They haven't released a single patch or anything to address any of the outstanding issues with Automatic Tomato. That kind of irritates me a little bit. Still, if you can find this on sale, you know, they dropped it. You know, I can get it for $39.99 wet, stinky cashes. That's almost worth it. I think you'll dig the experience, you know, and like the ending, or the ending. Yeah, the ending is it's like, that like, wait, what the fuck? It followed with like a nice little side of like, really? All right. I wasn't even mad. I enjoyed it. I even enjoyed going back and playing it. I haven't touched it in about a year. Just playing it last night and getting my face smashed in, man. I'll say solid 3 cheers. Which is that? Come on, there we go. Check it out.
Yeah,
it's good to see. Good to see.
Yeah, never have I seen a game that truly incentivizes the amount of moose violence that is required.
Moose that get you killed.
Dude, no, they're great for farming money.
Yeah.
It's honestly, it's a little sad how, like, if you just kind of sit back and shoot them with the big laser, they just kind of sit there and take it. But anyways, yeah, this game is weird as fuck, and I'm really into it. Well, I mean, first there's the boss with the not one, but 2 Bagger 288s for arms. And then there's the wombo combo of the Juggalo tank, immediately followed by the creepy robot android corpse diva that you see Pedro fighting right now. Yeah, and then there's the awesome urban decay aesthetic that's really pretty looking, and the areas that you run around are really nice, and they look like an abandoned it looks like that Discovery series After Humans, which I kind of liked. So yeah, it's pretty fun. The gameplay is good. It's the Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Metal Gear, Revengeance, air juggly, flashy fighting, and it's really fun. I enjoy it quite a bit. Story wise, yeah, I know that there's some twists and turns. I haven't gotten to them just yet, but right now it's like, are we the baddies? Yeah, we're the baddies. So I figured with my playthrough, I'll just go into it and murder all the Ewok. There's like a freaking robot Ewok village. It's kind of messed up. Yeah, robots don't feel fear, they say, as we mow down the civilians who are like begging and screaming for their lives.
Fun fact, you know
yeah.
that village? If you just, maybe, I don't know, the first time you played it, maybe, I'm just saying, if you slaughter all the robots, you lose the game.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't kill all the robots, so I think I'm safe. But yeah, there you go. Secrets yet to be revealed. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Normally I find these games really monotonous because the stages make you play the same thing over and over again. I like the open world nature of it. It's kind of Zelda-y, gives you the opportunity that if you're getting sick of one thing, you can go to the next thing. So yeah, 3 cheers.
Yep. And, you know, Platinum games between NieR and Bayonetta, the ones we've thrown chairs at, I much prefer NieR. And it's got a bit of the Squeenix influence. Definitely, you can see the Final Fantasy elements. There's a lot of, like, number crunching and a lot of optimization to be doing about the chips that you have equipped. But the over-the-top choreography, the penis-shaped robots, the sexy protagonist androids in maid or schoolboy outfits, as you see right there, are very much on brand for Platinum. NieR is Bayonetta with more of an open world and those Final Fantasy-like elements I mentioned. But you have the highly choreographed combat to actually tie, like, everything together. And it's unfortunate that the performance is a bit jank in places because I very much enjoy everything else about this game.
You gotta admit, though, it's on par with Windows. I mean, even, like, considering you're in the middle of this Jesus convention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, and if you have an AMD graphics card, chances are the game's gonna run better on Proton than on Windows, so, yeah. The combat itself, it feels awesome. Even with a boss with as much HP as this one you're currently looking at, it does genuinely feel awesome. And all the weapons have different interactions and and they have different moves. If you combo them together, like, you can find each and every, you can actually try each and every weapon to see which one you actually like the best. For me, it happened to be the steel pipe and the spear. I hadn't discovered the steel pipe yet when I recorded this video, but yeah, the game is awesome. Enemies, there's a significant variety of enemies. At first, it's mostly the same robots that you're fighting over and over, but then they start introducing more and more, and there is a nice variety, and they all react differently to your combos and the counters that you do when
they start
to attack
breeding.
You. Yeah, they do. There's actually one of the
hot robot on robot action. Not joking.
Robot on robot on robot on robot on robot action.
It was one of the most gift bits about this particular game was that particular scene. But yeah, much like the previous NieR, you don't get to play the whole game until you've beaten it several times over. And I like games that aren't afraid of hiding content away from players. Dark Souls, Skyrim, Fallout 2, and now NieR Automata. It's a really nice game. So the performance absolutely needs improving, but I honestly did not see it as a hindrance to my enjoyment. 4 chairs.
All right. That's it. It's pretty fun. You should pick it up. I quite enjoyed it. I think we all did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, I went head into this like the first time it was on sale for like something other than like $70, and Platinum Games, we were talking about this in the pre super shows, is usually a safe bet. You know, got to say that, you know, making Bayonetta and all that fun stuff. So I would say good job on that, and I believe that Valve made the right decision of making this a whitelisted game. Then they're like, hey man, we guarantee that this is going to work with Proton. It's safe to buy.
It works about as well.
Works
under
about
Linux
as well as it does on Windows.
It's definitely achieved parity with the Windows version.
Indeed. All right, coming up next, we got one itty bitty bit of hate mail for you, and then we're gone out of your hair forever, or at least until next week.
And that about wraps up what could technically be called a Linux gaming podcast. I guess there were mentions of Linux and gaming at some point in between that. But hey, if you'd like to let us know exactly what kind of mentions you'd like to see discussed on Linux Gamecast Weekly, you can go to linuxgamecast.com, hit the contact button, fill out the form. Just make sure you're sending your bit of hate mail over to LGC Weekly. If you're a game developer and for some reason, after what you've just watched, you'd like us to have a look at your game, make sure you include 3 keys. You really don't want to know what happens if you don't. Look, no.
These
fuckos.
Hang on, we're not done.
It's a royale with these.
These cuckoo. Mention cheese.
These cuckoo.
At least they did, you know what? I'm gonna hit the eject button. Pedro, tell them what else they need to do to get in touch with us.
That's pretty much it. Just shut your mouth.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're a Patreon, of course, you can leave us a comment on Patreon. You get first dibs on that. That's one of the props of giving us money, basically. You can leave us a comment on YouTube because, we check sometimes.
We do. Totally.
Pedro
all the time.
checks.
Check it right out.
But yeah, Dolus actually has a bit of a hate mail for us and is like, I know why people want cloud gaming to be a thing, but it's not worth the control you lose as a consumer, both individually and as a collective. Hey? And you're going to have to find a solution
Only communists
to flat out
Stadia.
break some laws of physics to get around the inherent technical problems like input delay. I don't care how good your AI is, GLaDOS and Skynet combined don't have enough faux precognition to fix that.
That's what you think. ... So,
Dolus was never heard of again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GLaDOS,
Random drone strike took him out. Yeah, like the cons of cloud gaming have been talked to death, right? We all know about them. The media knows about them. The average consumer doesn't care, so they're not. We can scream about it all we want, and they're not going to change their mind.
Well, it's going to be like, can I play Bejeweled on it?
Yeah. I've heard some pros for people who are like on the go a lot. And they can't like haul a gaming PC or a console around. I don't know. Like, yeah, there's the whole anti-consumer bent, which doesn't sit right with me. There's the whole the controller listens to everything you say, so don't have any heated gamer moments, or YouTube's gonna have a lot more blackmail material on you than they already do.
Yeah. But yeah, it's also the fact that a lot of people in most so-called developed countries still have data caps, and even if you're just playing at 1080p, you're still getting about like 700 megabytes per hour. That's a lot. That's actually a lot.
Here's a couple things I'm looking at, man. At the end of the day, when I'm thinking about Stadia, man, one of the first things I'm thinking, anti-consumer, I don't know if I go that far. I'm not that big a hippie, but I'm going to say it like this, because you don't own anything. Stadia goes poof, and it will. I mean, what did Google nuke from orbit this week? CloudPrint, that thing that's been around for a decade, that products have been made printers, you buy them. You're like, does it support cloud print? It better. Yeah, it does. Yay. Womp womp. Think about it like this. Now, if you just paid a subscription, you're like, hey man, I'll give you $20 a month. This is something I said, Valve, do this. Then I could just play what I want. You know what? Then I could put it in the same mind palace that I have in Netflix, that I have Amazon Prime Video, my new Disney Plus. Because I can play what I want, man. But it gets real squirrely and real, like, I'm not dancing with this, no tango. When I have to buy the game at full retail price in order, then I have to pay on top of that to use your service to play the game. And I never get a copy that I can play locally. Get fucked. 100%.
I mean,
Supposedly the free version is coming in 2020.
Well,
I mean, I brought it up before. The total cost of ownership is about the same for a gaming PC over like 3 years, but you know,
then Stadia has to be around for 3 years,
right? And again, which again goes back to the whole anti-consumer thing, where they don't want you to own things; they want you to just consume the constant content stream like a mayonnaise hose. That's show title. I'm
not even curious about it. Then they did the launch, was an absolute shit show. You know, they weren't even sending out the codes, right?
Yeah. People who actually paid for it. And it's like, where's my code, Google?
I saw the, what's his name, from Gamer Nexus. He was like, I will give people money for a code. And, you know, that desperate.
Eventually he got it, and then he used his blowtorch and liquid nitrogen to burn it away.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least he found a use for it. Then,
I mean, some people just really hate money, right?
Amen.
So.
Womp, womp. Ladies and gentlemen, I do declare. Can we declare things? Is that legal?
We can declare whatever we want.
what you can declare a variable.
On that declared bombshell, then. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm at VinStone on the Twitters. That's kind of our official Twitter account because, again, we expected 4 people to ever watch this. At Vin at mass.linuxgamecast.com, or just scream at me on the internet, man. I'll usually like click a heart button and run away, terrified, shaking violently.
I'm Jordan Swung, everyone's favorite temporary iterator variable that you can declare at the start of every for loop. You can iterate through my garbage at frojo at mass.linuxgamecast.com or at the Burning Fool on Twitter.
And I am basically the definition of a wild do. So if you... I don't know where I was going with that. If you want
you were gonna do
more
like that
of
general
whatever the hell that
rhymey
was.
thing. I don't know.
If you want more of whatever the hell that was, you can go to
the very definition
on
of
Twitter.
something you know that one.
I am the very
and yeah, just follow me there because that's basically the only social media I pay attention to anymore. I even shut down my Facebook account finally. Took me a while.
Yay! Someone register Pedro Mateus and just start posting horrible shit on Facebook.
Dynafire, beautiful people.
Do it.
Let's see your name in the lights. Maybe if I can find the button. Ta-da!
Speaking of the Mandalorian, needs more butterflies. I'm an Emacs user. I beat on them.
So what about the margarine flies?
Do flies eat margarines? I've never met a margarine, so I assume they've all been ingested by flies.
I don't know, maybe we should ask Marth Aaron or Mr. Foxdog or Empty or the Atomic Cat, Mike G, Bob Raptor, Hapler, or Matt Geek or Scott. Because they might know because they give us a lot of money.
How dare you?
What about the rest of these guys?
Yeah, they do.
Leno, Colin, Ryan, Scott,
Renault, Joe Angel,
Steve.
Steve, Michael,
Brad S.
Tepical,
Newman.
Mark, Michael N,
Serving von
W, Mike W.
Staben. Ollie.
Also, a special
Ruben.
mention to Brian M for the Brian M memorial microphone that I'm currently speaking into.
Special thanks to Mike G for continuing to just buy everything we all own.
Yeah, pretty
Dance,
much.
Frank. Dance for your money.
Shake them hips. Those hips don't lie.
Hover
yes,
hips.
they do.
Hover hips.
Frank's
Trying to
hips are
imagine
going to get
Frank
indicted
with
for
Shakira
perjury.
hips.
Perjury hips.
My hips do lie under oath.
I'm going to walk straight up to somebody and says, like, man, those are perjury hips if I've ever seen them. Then they're probably going to hit me. It's going to be awesome.
5 dudes.